Hello and good evening, Chicago. Welcome on into another week of sports here on Chi-Town Weekly. It was eventful around the sports landscape here in Chicago this past week. Going to be talking a lot of baseball tonight. Yes, it was a week ago that the events happened, but the baseball world is still buzzing about Tony La Russa and the unwritten rules of baseball. We've got to get some thoughts in on that as the White Sox prepare to host La Russa's former club, the St. Louis Cardinals, tonight in a nationally televised game. You know that the unwritten rules are going to get brought up and going to get talked about, so let's keep that train rolling. Also, what happened on the diamond this past weekend for the White Sox, going into New York and coming away getting swept out of town? Not good. Then over on the north side, the Cubs, they were down in St. Louis and they managed to take 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. Somehow, some way, we will break that down and talk about the Cubs and what they might be looking at. Finally, too, the NBA playoffs started this past weekend. That was kind of fun and exciting. Yes, the Bulls aren't in it. How close are the Bulls to getting into this tournament? Well, who knows? The NBA's looking to shake things up. We'll talk about that a little bit. Plus, the sky and the fire from this past weekend. All that here on Chi-Town Weekly. Buckle on up. Let's have a fun ride. And once again, welcome on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Thank you so much for coming back once again to talk some sports with me here in the best town in the United States for sports. Before we go any further, of course, we have got to acknowledge our sponsor this week, the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors or on Instagram at Southern California_Warriors. Or on Facebook by searching for Southern California Warriors. IE Sports Radio is active on all the major social platforms as well. Find us on Twitter at IE Sports Radio, Instagram at IE Sports Radio, or search Facebook for IE Sports Radio. You can also go to our website, iesportsradio.com, and check out what's going on with all the shows there. Also, you can keep up with the blog there as well. And if you are listening live right now tonight on the Spreaker app, please feel free to log on in, create a username for yourself. It's free. There's no cost to you for that. Hop on into the chat room, and we can interact back and forth that way. I see Taryn is already in the chat room. Good evening, Taryn. Or if you just want to sit back and listen to me, that's fine as well. Whatever I can do, I am here for you. I am a man of the people. So we start off tonight talking about Tony La Russa and the White Sox. I really wish that we were just talking about the product on the diamond and that we didn't have to keep, once again, coming back to the manager of the team committing unforced error after unforced error and blunder after blunder of just making this all about him. Yermin Mercedes last week, in a rout of the Twins in the 9th inning, hit a home run off of a position player on a 3-0 count. Mercedes didn't play it up. He hit the pitch, he ran around the bases, and he went back into the dugout. For most of the Twins players, it was nothing. After the game, it did not come up in conversation. The following day, Tony La Russa saw fit to call out his rookie player in the media. And in part of his comments, he called Mercedes, who is a rookie, but he's also an old rookie. He's 26 years old. He's been playing baseball for a long time, and he's been one of the bright spots in all of baseball here through the first 2 months. He called him clueless for swinging at that pitch, and apparently he blew through a take sign that he was supposed to take the pitch. La Russa also said that he had a talk with the Twins manager where he wanted to assure the Twins manager that he doesn't need to do anything to retaliate, that he's had a talking with him and the young man understands. The Twins then threw at him, at Mercedes, late in the game. They threw behind him. Didn't hit him, but you could tell. It was clear, it was obvious, it was intentional. The pitcher didn't even bother to rest his case. He just stood there off the mound, just waiting to get tossed, knowing what was coming. Sure enough, he got tossed. The Twins manager proceeds to get tossed. And then La Russa, after the game, has the gall and the audacity to say, well, I didn't think they were throwing at him. I think it was just a pitch that got away from him. I get that Tony La Russa grew up in an era of baseball where it was considered unsportsmanlike to swing at a 3-0 pitch, basically ever. But certainly in a late game, in a blowout where your team is up by double-digit leads. I understand that. What I can't understand is not wanting to settle this in-house. Why he had to bring this public, bring this forward, bring this into the national spotlight. And it still is in the spotlight. The White Sox are going to be playing the Cardinals tonight. The game is being brought, of course, in the local markets. It's only available in the local markets, but it's being nationally broadcast on ESPN. You know this is going to come up tonight in the broadcast, that they're still going to be talking about it. You have a problem with something that one of your players does, fine. You go talk to that player, and if you feel the need to talk to your clubhouse, talk to your team through the media, fine. But then say that you're dealing with it in-house and end it there. Don't drag your player through the mud. Don't go out there and call one of your own players clueless. Don't go out there after he gets thrown at by the other team and that pitcher and that manager got suspended for that and say, "Oh, well, I didn't think it was intentional." Don't be that guy. Just don't be that guy. Stick up for your teammates. Stick up for you want to talk about sportsmanship in the game. You stick up for your team. You stick up for your players. That's your job as the manager, to manage your players. And frankly, I don't have a problem with Mercedes swinging on a 3-0 pitch for a lot of reasons. One, the game is 9 innings long. Yes, it was a 3-0 count, and yes, they had a double-digit lead. What's he supposed to do? He's a professional batter. That's what he's paid to do. I was listening to Bases Loaded this morning. You can hear them on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock Central. They do an excellent job. They recap Brandon and Chris and H-Town Blake. They do a great job of recapping all things MLB on Sunday nights. I was listening to them this morning, and they brought up the great point that, look, players get paid based on their stats. You mean to tell me that there's a situation where a player shouldn't go up there and do his job and pad his stats? You know, that's how these guys get paid. The teams do everything they can in arbitration to squeeze every penny to save every penny from these guys. So these guys, they have to go out there and do their job so that they can get what's coming to them from a pay standpoint. Plus, the game's not over. It's the 9th inning. It's not over. You play 9 innings. Last I checked, a regulation baseball game, unless it's a doubleheader right now, a regulation game is 9 innings. Everything counts. You don't want a professional batter taking it at bat, then pinch hit for him. You want to talk about disrespecting the game, Tony La Russa? The Twins put a position player out there to pitch. A guy who, that's not his job. That's not his role. Now, that's a trend that's become a lot more popular the last few years, and it makes sense. It's defensible. It's a team gets to a point where, hey, this game is over. Why put one of our bullpen guys out there and potentially lose him for the next day? Let's put one of our position players out there. We'll save our bullpen for tomorrow in a game that might have a little bit more meaning late. Let's just get this thing over with. Well, what gets the game over with more? Sitting there and not swinging the bat, or putting the ball in play and, as one good writer put it, or excuse me, it was a manager, I believe it was Alan Trammell, put it, that even with a great hitter, 7 out of 10 times when he puts the ball in play, it's an out. I'd much rather a guy swing and 70% chance of creating an out than sitting there and watching pitches go by and you have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pitches where nothing's happening. And then to sit there and say, well, we've talked about it and everybody's on the same page, when at the same time, Mercedes is going out there saying, yeah, I'm not changing anything. And Tim Anderson is saying, hey, man, you be you. We've got you. And Lance Lynn, one of the starting pitchers, saying, yeah, you should be swinging. That's fine. Nobody should be taking offense at somebody swinging at a 3-0 pitch. It's ridiculous. It's yet another distraction for this team, and it's yet another straw on the camel's back. This doesn't seem to have affected the team as a whole, even though they did get swept by the Yankees this weekend, and I want to get into that in a second. Believe me, I want to be talking about actual things that happened on the diamond and not 76-year-old managers that have no business doing their jobs. But these things just keep adding up. Tony's gonna lose this team, and it's gonna be a damn shame because this is still a really, really, really good baseball team. They're still one of the top 3 in run differential in all of baseball. It's gone down a bit over the last week because of the injuries that they have, and it looks like, they're going to have to come up with some ways to get around it. But this is a good baseball team. This is a good team. This is a team that needs to be celebrated. And heck, MLB did celebrate them. They put that Yermin Mercedes highlight up on everything. They wanted everybody to see it. MLB was celebrating this home run, except for the manager of his team. Couldn't stand that his player hit a home run in a game. It just drives me nuts, and I worry that this is going to be yet another thing, one more straw onto the camel's back. Eventually, the camel's back is going to break, and I hate to see it happen to a team as talented as the White Sox. As far as for what happened on the diamond this past weekend, they got swept. That was rough. Getting a text was you have to read this in a Bugs Bunny voice. Was that unmitigated audacity, the temerity of a player hitting a home run? Yes, apparently it was. Apparently, a baseball player going out there and doing his job is a bad thing, and it's unsportsmanlike to go out there and do your job in baseball. So, and La Russa has said that, the players, we're all on the same page. No, you're not. They're clowning you behind your back. They're saying, yes, Grandpa, and rolling their eyes and just going back to doing what they were doing. And frankly, they should be doing what they're doing because for the most part, they're winning baseball games. They lost this weekend, got swept by the Yankees, had a hard time putting the ball in play. That starting staff for the Yankees is on a roll right now. I saw a stat last night that the Yankees starting rotation just went through a stretch one time through the rotation where none of their starting pitchers gave up a run. Bit of a buzzkill to be going in there, especially when the White Sox offense right now is struggling because of injuries anyway. They're going from being a bunch of mashers to now they need to concentrate on putting the ball in play more and doing a little bit more station-to-station type things offensively. And then you run into a buzzsaw of the Yankees pitching staff just owning you. And poor Andrew Vaughn, he had a whirlwind of a weekend. On Friday night, the Sox had the tying and go-ahead runs on base with nobody out against Aroldis Chapman, who had, at the time, yet to give up an earned run this season. Vaughn's up there looking, man, if I put anything in play, if I get a base hit of any kind, this game is tied. And if I put a charge into one, we could be in the lead. And he put a charge into one, all right. A one-hopper to the third baseman who proceeded to go 5-4-3 for a game-ending triple play. Rough way to lose. He got his revenge on Sunday, though. In the ninth inning against Chapman, said, fine, you're going to give me one that I can handle. I'm going to put it in the seats. Let's see your defense do something with that. And he tied the game, only for the Sox bullpen to then implode and walk in the game-winning run. So rough weekend for the Sox. They got some things to figure out. Their bullpen is suddenly struggling a little bit, having a hard time, and their offense isn't putting up runs the way that they were earlier in the season. Hopefully they'll be able to rebound tonight. They start a 3-game series against the Cardinals here in just a little under an hour. And we saw the Cardinals bullpen over the weekend struggle a little bit. So maybe a series against the Cardinals and Tony La Russa's former team will be just what the doctor ordered for the White Sox offense. Speaking of those Cardinals, they just wrapped up a series with the other team in town, the Cubs. And the Cubs, they seem to be what the doctor ordered for the Cubs, too. The Cubs managed to take 2 out of 3 over this weekend. We'll take a quick break, but then coming back, let's talk about the suddenly resurgent Northside Chicago Cubs. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world, from the English Premier League to the World Cup to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. So, the Cubs, well, they just got done playing the Cardinals, the White Sox opponent for the next few nights, and the Cubs managed to do some damage against the Redbirds in the series. Took 2 out of 3, somehow, amazingly, despite last night only managing 3 hits, 2 of them singles by Chris Bryant, and not putting a man in scoring position until the rules required that they do that in the 10th inning. The Cubs managed to come away with the win last night and the series victory overall. It's been a bit of a turnaround for the Cubs the last week, 10 days or so. And suddenly, the Cubs find themselves in second place in the National League Central, only a couple games back of the Cardinals for first place. 2 big things that have helped their resurgence. The bats are warming up. Ian Happ has been swinging out of his mind since coming back from being on the injured list recently. He's been swinging a very, very, very hot bat. Chris Bryant is playing at an MVP caliber status again, but also the bullpen has figured things out. The bullpen over the last several weeks has just been lights out. Striking out batters, not giving up runs, and keeping the team in the game, keeping things from getting out of hand. Last night was a perfect example. In the 7th inning, the Cardinals managed to get the bases loaded with nobody out. Now, there was a questionable officiating call at that point that allowed the bases to get loaded, but neither here nor there. The point is the bases were loaded and nobody out, and they got out of it last night. That was an amazing job from Ryan Tepera getting out of that jam in the 7th. Induced the first batter, hit a grounder to Nico Horner at second, threw home for the forced play out. The next batter popped up behind the plate. Wilson Contreras made the catch. The third batter, Tepera, struck out, and it was very palpable that the Cubs knew they got out of a big, big jam. The Cardinals as a team last night, or I believe it was, they were 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position last night batting. They did hit a sacrifice fly that scored a runner late, but they did not get a base hit with anybody in scoring position. And timely hitting. And Javier Baez in the 10th inning, he had struggled all night long, got a pitch to handle, and he put it into the batter's eye in straightaway center field, 420 feet away. And the next thing you know, Cubs are up. Their offense had been stagnant all night. Adam Wainwright had absolutely dominated them all night long. But here they were in it, thanks to a decent start from Zach Davies, and then the bullpen doing just a heroic job back there to keep the offense in it. The Cubs are still really reliant on the long ball. They've got to figure out some way as a team to produce better. And you've got guys like David Bodie on the team who his batting average is sub 200. His OPS is about 596, I think, which I think Major League average for OPS, which for a quick reminder for those that may not know, OPS is on base plus slugging. It's basically it's a way to better represent offensive output. It's a quick and easy way to better understand offensive output from a hitter. I think Major League average for OPS right now is 720, 750, somewhere in that. So to be sub 600 is not good. That means a guy's just not putting the ball in play very much at all. Good evening, Davidson. I see Davidson Crooks in the chat line. Good evening, Davidson. We're just talking some baseball tonight. Very, very baseball heavy tonight, but it's a good game. The Cubs have the night off tonight. They then get there in Pittsburgh to start a 3-game series with the Pirates. That should allow them to kind of keep their mojo running. The Pirates have not been doing terribly well as of late. They have slipped. They're now 18 and 28 overall. They've lost 3 in a row. They've dropped 7 out of their last 10. The Cubs have won 7 out of their last 10. So hopefully the Cubs should be able to go into Pittsburgh and feel good about themselves and get at least 2 wins, maybe even a sweep. You never know what might happen out there in Pittsburgh. By the by, if you want to know more about the goings-on with the Pittsburgh Pirates, it's always good to check in on those division rivals from time to time. You can check out the Yinzer Report tomorrow afternoon at noon and hear Ben Mettello talk all about those Pittsburgh Pirates, and I'm sure he will be talking about the upcoming series versus the Cubs and the Pirates. Pitching matchup for tomorrow for the Cubs should be. I'm pulling up their schedule right now as we do this. It's going to be Jake Arrieta on the bump tomorrow, and the Pirates have not announced who they're going to be going with. So you're going to be seeing on the hill in this series for the Cubs. You got Arrieta tomorrow night. You've got Trevor Williams then on Wednesday, and then in the Thursday getaway day game, it'll be the ace Kyle Hendricks. By the way, pitching matchup tonight for the Sox, I failed to mention that, their game against the Cardinals tonight. You're going to have Lance Lynn on the bump, putting his 1.55 ERA up against Kwang Hyun Kim of the Cardinals. Should be an excellent pitching matchup, but at the same time, the Sox have handled lefties pretty well, so that should be, of course, the Yankees series was the exception, of course, but Garrett Cole will do that to you. When you get good lefties, that'll do that to you. But we'll see what the White Sox have in store tonight against Kim and the Cardinals. But should be a good pitching matchup. Should be a really good pitching match. Lance Lynn has been excellent for the White Sox. A whip of sub-1. That means he's giving up less than one base runner per inning. So that's generally a good thing. If you're keeping the other team off base, that's a good way to have success as a pitcher. But the Cubs, it's just been an excellent turnaround of late for them. They've won 7 out of their last 10. They're starting to just look more comfortable. They had the 3-game, took 3 out of 4 from the Nationals, managed to sweep, take 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. They're doing a lot of taking 2 out of 3s, just winning series. And that's just keep stacking wins. I maintain that the Cubs are still the only reason that they wouldn't be sellers at the trade deadline would be because nobody else in the Central is frankly good enough to win the division. But it's good to see the Cubs get on a bit of a win streak, turn some things around, and make life a little interesting for Jed Hoyer and the rest of that front office staff. I love Chris Bryant. He's my favorite Cub. I still think that by July 31st he winds up with another team, but hopefully he'll be sticking around. I can only hope, but still, it was a good weekend. It wasn't a good weekend for the Sox, but it was a good weekend for the Cubs at least. Speaking of good weekends, the NBA playoffs started last week and over the weekend, and there was just some phenomenal basketball being played and just some fun little quirks and twists going on. I want to talk about some of that next, and then also some of the local hoops scene going on this past weekend. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. We're going to take one more quick break, and then when we come back, let's transition over to the hardwood. Catch you in a few minutes.
Wrestling fans in the podcast world, you are in the right place to listen to the right show, the premier show in the professional wrestling podcasting world. This is Ring Rambling Radio, and you're listening to one of the co-hosts. I am Martin Sandoval, a.k.a. the SoCal Saint, along with my 2 co-hosts, the lovely Felicia and my boy Matt. Yes, every Saturday or every other Saturday morning, you can listen to us, the premier wrestling team, giving you the premier wrestling news, rumors, updates, event discussions, everything that has to do with professional wrestling. You're in the right place. IE Sports Radio presents Ring Rambling Radio. Don't miss it, because it's just too sweet.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Were you listening to a great game on USRN, but then the Wi-Fi crashed in the final seconds? Or do you simply want to listen to the best calls we here at USRN have to offer? Well then, you need to go check out our Audio Boom page. It holds a collection of our best calls that you don't want to miss. How do I get there, you ask? You can download the Audio Boom app and look up Ultimate Sports Radio, or simply go to audiobook.com/Ultimate Sports Radio. And as always, thanks for listening and making USRN one of the most talked about sports networks on Mixler.com.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Rose Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Everybody, this is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. So we've been very baseball heavy through the first two segments of tonight's show, but I wanted to move things in a different direction here for the last segment. The NBA postseason began this past week, and even though the Bulls weren't in it again, there was still excellent basketball to be viewed this past week. The NBA did a trial run. Since their schedule only went 72 games, they decided to do a play-in for the last two seeds in each conference. And I understand why some diehard basketball fans are against it. And I'm not sure that I myself would even necessarily want it all the time. But I thought it was a neat idea, and especially to do in a slightly shorter season. They only did 72 games instead of the traditional 82. The 7 and 8 seeds, which traditionally would be the last two teams to make it in, played each other The winner got in as the 7 seed. The loser then had to play the winner of the 9-10 seeds, and the winner of that game then got to be the final 8 seed. And I watched some of the Memphis Golden State game last week. Memphis pulled off the upset of the Golden State Warriors, and even though that means that then Steph Curry, one of the best players in the game right now, didn't make it to the playoffs despite the Warriors being the 8th best team in the West, I thought it was a neat idea to try out and put out there. And hey, yeah, you gotta earn it. You gotta earn your way into the playoffs if you're one of those top 8 teams. Very similar to the wild card game that we see in baseball now, where it's the 2 wild card teams, they play each other with the winner getting to clinch the wild card, and teams saying, or a lot of fans or teams saying, oh, I don't like this, it's not traditional, it's not what we do. Well, if you don't like it, then don't finish in one of those spots where your playoffs are in jeopardy. Then make sure that you finish in one of the top 6 seeds. If you're one of those kind of teams, don't take games off, don't take nights off. But then also, if you're on the bottom end where it's, hey, we're hanging around right there at that 8-9 spot, well, here's a chance to we might be the 9 seed, but we know we're way better than that 8 seed. Well, here's your chance, prove it. It's put up or shut up time out there on the court. I like it. And then Memphis backed it up by pulling off the shocker and beating the top-seeded Jazz in the West over the weekend. So Memphis already kind of giving some legitimacy to the system by not only getting in as I believe they would have been the 10 seed normally in the West, but they managed to win a couple games and fight their way into the playoffs. But then they go and they take the first game against the Jazz. Now, obviously, you gotta take 4 games to win a series, and the better team is always going to wind up winning in a best-of-7 series. It might not be the higher seed every time, but in a best-of-7 series, you're going to see the better team wind up winning out. So we'll see how this ultimately plays out on the whole. But it was cool to kind of see some of the good basketball being played over the weekend and some of the upsets happening in the NBA. I like the NBA experimenting a little bit and just trying some different things and seeing what works. It's a cool thing. If there's one good thing that came out of this pandemic, and there's been very, 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 very little that has come out of this pandemic, at least some of the sports leagues have taken the opportunity to fiddle with some things and tweak some things and try some new things out and see what sticks a little bit. I don't know that I'd necessarily want this every season, but it was neat to see for this go around. They've also then brought up talk of having a mid-season tournament again in the NBA. And Davidson, if you're still there in the chat room, maybe you can help me understand this. Why do a mid-season tournament? I can't figure this one out. Davidson is one of the hosts of our Fast Break show, also on Sundays, also at 7 o'clock. So you got 2 excellent shows to check out at 7 o'clock on Sundays. But the commissioner, Adam Silver, came out this weekend and said, hey, we were talking about this mid-season tournament. We should up those talks. Everybody liked this play-in tournament. Let's do this mid-season tournament again. And it's essentially they'd stop the season for about a week and play an 8-team tournament. And Davidson not helping. He says, yeah, I don't know why either. Okay, so this is a cash grab. Okay. All right, Adam Silver is as far as sports commissioners go, Adam Silver is a very bright, intelligent, willing to think outside of the box and try different things kind of a guy. This is not one of his better ideas. Well, and then David's comments that the league is using the G League or the developmental league as lab rats. Well, that's kind of what minor league is for a little bit. I mean, yes, you need to develop the players. Yes, you need to ideally you want to turn them into great professional basketball players for you, but the minor leagues do offer you an opportunity to try some different things from time to time and again, see what works and see what can be implemented. And then you get into all the not really affiliated with the NBA leagues, like the ABA and things like that. Oh man, do they try some funky things, 4-point shots or all kinds of fun there. But yeah, this and Taryn brings up that it's what the NBA is trying to do is very similar to what pro soccer leagues do. And yeah, it's basically stop the season for a week and do an 8-team tournament. Now, I could see the players wanting to buy, and their incentive to the players is, well, every player on the winning team in the tournament gets $1 million bonus. Okay, sure, I'd love to have $1 million written out to me in a check for playing basketball for a week. That'd be fantastic. So sure, that's not an awful carrot, but if that's the only carrot that there is, it doesn't make much sense to me. I could see it making a heck of a lot more sense if you were to, all right, we're gonna do these tournaments and then maybe do a tournament for each conference, and the winners of the tournaments, will they get guaranteed a playoff spot, or they get guaranteed, I don't know, maybe you want to expand the playoffs, maybe go to 9 teams in each conference, and the winner of the tournament, well, they get a bye for the first round. They get a first round bye in the playoffs, and they get to sit back and get a little bit of rest through it. But to just have a tournament for the sake of having a tournament, that doesn't make much sense to me. So seeing that, no, this really is just a tournament for the sake of a tournament. Yeah. Back to the drawing board, NBA. They're still talking about it. They're going to talk with the players, but unless they can come up with a significantly better carrot than, well, here's $1 million, I don't really see the players going for that very much. But it would be nice to expand if they were to expand the playoffs, maybe that's what it would finally take for the Bulls to get back in. I mean, it's been 5 years since the Bulls were in a playoff series, and it's been even longer than that since they won a playoff series. It would be nice to be able to turn on some NBA playoff basketball and get to see United Center from time to time, but hopefully they're working on that. I talked about this a couple, was it last week or the week before with the Bulls when the season wrapped up, and it was disappointing that they didn't get in, but at the same time, I think Billy Donovan is the right coach for the job ultimately, and you give him an off season with these players and get to work with some of these guys a little bit. I do think the arrow is pointing in the right direction for the Bulls ultimately. For those that do want to watch professional basketball in the city, though, the Sky are going on, and they're playing well. They had their home opener over the weekend. Now, they did drop the home opener to the New York Liberty. Candace Parker, unfortunately, was not able to participate in the home opener. She twisted her ankle during the week, and while they thought that maybe she'd be able to go, they announced shortly before the game yesterday that no, she's not going to make it. She's not going to make it. But still, they played the Liberty tight. It took the Liberty draining 14 threes to beat them. And you had Diamond DeShields leading all scorers with 22 points. You got to see Courtney Vandersloot absolutely just continue to be a monster at the point guard spot. 16 assists for Vandersloot in the game. And you got to see the new rookie for the Sky a little bit. We got a little bit of a taste of Shiley Heel during the game. She didn't play very much, just 5 minutes. She only just got to the States here within the last week and only had a couple practices with the team, but she got to get her feet wet a little bit. Attempted one shot, it didn't go in, so she's still looking for her first WNBA bucket. But losing is never good. You never want to lose a game. But as far as this goes, this was a tough, hard-fought loss for the Sky. Overall, it was they're going to learn from it. They're going to grow from it, hopefully, and keep going. They get a little bit easier of a test coming up tomorrow. They get Atlanta. They get the Dream. Should be able to take that one, and hopefully get back on the winning track there for the Sky. They beat the Dream last week 85-77 in their other game last week, so now they get to host the Dream, and it should go their way. Hopefully Candace Parker is back and able to play. They missed her a little bit on Sunday. Also wanted to, speaking of winning, also wanted to mention the Chicago Fire got their first win over the weekend. It took them about 7 matches, but they finally got their first victory on the season. So good for the Fire. Hopefully they can keep moving on in the right direction there at Soldier Field. All right, that does it for our show this week. A lot of baseball that we went through, but I hope it was good for you. It felt good for me to kind of vent a little bit about Tony La Russa and his ridiculousness. Hopefully we can go a couple of weeks now without Tony La Russa just sticking his ego in the middle of what is otherwise a great baseball team on the south side. And then on the north side, hey, just keep winning, Cubs. Chris Bryant, you put him wherever you want to in the field, he'll get the job done there, and he'll keep producing at the plate. Get the starting pitching figured out. Hopefully things will go well for the Cubs. Coming up next, you definitely want to stick around. Taryn Rodriguez is got another episode of Set Point coming up here in just about a minute and a half, so do not go anywhere. You do not want to miss Taryn as he breaks down all the best volleyball talk going on throughout the U.S. going on right now. As for me, well, that's it for until next week. Thanks to Taryn and for Davidson hopping into the chat room. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you again to our sponsor, the SoCal Warriors. Thank you for sponsoring us for yet another week. We really appreciate it. It helps to keep the lights on. And thank you for listening. Thank you for continuing to come back here week in and week out and taking part in what I love to do, talk sports. Until next week, be good, be safe. We'll talk to you next time.